Velvet Owl here once again with the latest installment of Velvet Owl Watches Movies, so you don't have to. Email me at velvetowl@hotmail.com with any suggestions, comments, death threats, preferably not death threats, but if there's a film that you would like me to watch, just shoot me up and maybe I'll try to get to it. I normally leave that for the end of the episode, but I don't know how many of you actually listen all the way through. So I thought maybe I'll just shoot it off at the beginning of the episode this week, see if that results in someone contacting me. Please, I'm lonely. I want to hear from you. I'm gonna change up a little bit this week because I've been doing a lot of like low budget, no name horror movies. This week I've got a crime comedy called Paper Soldiers that stars Kevin Hart and Jay-Z, which are pretty much as far away from no name as you can get. I don't know how well of an actor Jay-Z is, because I don't think I've seen him act in anything, but I've always found it kind of interesting that there's such a large percentage of rappers who then try to get into acting and have at least one, like, film under the belt. And I mean, like, a starring film, not like a bit cameo in it, but like full on like one of the main stars of the film. And you don't really see that as much like from rock music. I'm trying to think of like what rock artists have had like starring roles, and all I can really think of is Bon Jovi. He's done a few, and Gene Simmons had that one where he was the bad guy in that Tom Selleck movie, Runaway, with the little robots that killed Kirstie Alley, which really upset me at the time because I had this huge crush on Kirstie Alley, and damn you, Gene Simmons, for killing her. And he also had Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Does that count? That was like the entire like Kiss band. Um, yeah, I mean, if you can think of any others, let me know, because I will probably forget to check that out. But so the description for this film is: an overeager thief joins a crew of equally inefficient burglars in this outrageous comedy which depicts the rocky life of a criminal. I'm gonna guess that Kevin Hart is the at least one of the bungling burglars. Jay Z, I'm gonna guess that Jay Z probably is like the top like criminal guy, like criminal kingpin of the city that they're gonna try to rob. That's just my guess. Let's see how it actually plays out. Well, starting off, this is a Rockefeller Films, so that explains why Jay Z's in it. I think just the fact that he's putting up the money for it, that gave him an edgewise over anyone else that was auditioning for the part. Starts off, it's like a flashback of Kevin Hart's young days, and I sometimes feel uneasy trying to review like a film about black people, like comedies, um, broad comedies. I'm saying about black people because I'm always unsure of where it's just a black stereotype that they're playing, or if this is kind of more realistic to the kind of people growing up. Since this was made by black people, I'm assuming it's more like not too stereotypical, but it feels like it's coming off stereotypical so far. So is it like they're playing up to what the white audience expects? So, but I'm going to try not to judge this film on what I think if it's being too stereotypical, because then that's kind of racist on me to assume, okay, this is just being a broad stereotype when maybe this is how it really is. Or am I overthinking this? I am definitely overthinking this. So it starts as a flashback. Kevin Hart is playing himself as a teenager, I think, or early 20s. And he's playing cards with his friends. One's a black friend and one's a white friend. The token white friend who thinks he's black. Um, I could use another word that I was thinking of, but I think that would be kind of an offensive term because it's the N word but with a W instead. You know what I mean. And I don't know if we're allowed to use that anymore, so I'm just gonna call him the white guy who thinks he's black. But they look like they're all nerds and that they're not very cool. So already I relate to them. They're not. They seem like they're not cool, but kind of want to be cool, but they're also recognized that they're not cool. And then uh, cut to later, Kevin Hart's hanging out with some other friends, and he's thinking about getting into the drug game because he needs to make money, and so he thinks that this might be a good way. But while he's there, suddenly bursting in is two guys with luchador masks, and they shoot one of the guys and steal all the money. And while they're doing this, they seem very inept, actually, because they're trying to, after they shoot the guy, they're trying to reload the gun and they're kind of fumbling and they take their masks off, which, come on, that seems like burglary 101. If you're wearing a mask, you don't take it off until you get out of the house because you don't want witnesses to be able to place you of who you are. But that leads Kevin Hart to decide that the drug game's not for him. And good for you, Kevin Hart. Say no to drugs. Okay, I think that wasn't a flashback at the beginning, and Kevin Hart just really is this young. Quick Google search, this is his film debut. So, I don't know how much, like, was he doing beforehand as far as stand-up comedy, but must have caught the eye of Jay-Z. And according to credits, this film is based on the life of Von Sims, who I have no idea who it is. Um, so I don't think he got like very like mainstream recognition, but probably well enough in the hip hop world, I'm guessing, at least enough to catch Jay-Z's eye to want to make a film about it. That's just assumptions on my part. But so Kevin Hart's mom has died, and you know, we're at the wake. Do you call it the wake? Like, when everyone gets together at the house afterwards, after the funeral? Is that really considered a wake? I'm not sure. I don't have like really the experience with all that. But so everyone's just gathered up at his house because his mom just died. So Kevin Hart's just hanging out with his friends at the funeral wake thing, which I still haven't decided what I'm calling it. But this is the end of it, so I guess I don't really need to call it anything else anymore. So he's hanging out with his friends, including Token White Friend, and they're all just shooting the shit, as one does. Nothing seeming too importantly, except one guy's now going to become a barber, and Token White Friend wants him to cut his hair. I don't know if that's going to be a plot point that uh, brings up later, so I'm just mentioning it just in case. I think it's fascinating. And then there's a guy in a counterfeit basketball jersey who asks Kevin Hart if he's going to help him do some breaking and entering, or B&E as they refer to it. Kevin Hart, he's like, nah, man, because, Kevin's got a good heart. I did not mean to make that horrible pun, but we're going with it. Kevin Hart has a good heart. Um, yeah, so he's not down for it, but I'm guessing he's probably gonna get convinced later. Then Kevin Hart goes to his parole officer, which I don't. Did I miss something? He has a parole officer. Um, I mean, I know there was that like drug deal gone bad. Did he get arrested for it? Um, yeah, but we're gonna just go with so. Well, I mean, I guess then that makes sense why his friend wanted to try to get him to help break an entering, and Kevin Hart didn't want to do it because he's out on parole. He doesn't want to go back, man. So, and the guy ahead of him at the parole officer's office is trying to hook up with the parole officer. He's trying to make like bad moves and bad pickup lines. It doesn't work. She's not falling for it. But she wants Kevin Hart to pee in a cup. And Kevin Hart convinces her to give him an extra 2 weeks. Because, I'm guessing his piss isn't going to come back clean. But she's giving him the benefit of the doubt, so she's going to give him 2 weeks to get out whatever's in his system, which is probably weed. I'm not making that assumption. She is. And so now he goes to his job, which is at some kind of like, I don't know if it's a mom and pop type, just everything but the kitchen sink type store, because they've got medicine and cigarettes, and I can't tell if they're CDs or DVDs and Game Boys. They got it all, man. It's like your one-stop shop. There used to be at like one old apartment I lived at growing up. There was a store like a few blocks down. It was this bodega that was called the One Stop Party Shop. And I went in there, and there was missing a lot of party supplies, I'm just gonna say. Like, you could get the chips and dip and stuff like that to have your party, but no balloons. And if you don't have balloons, can you really call yourself a one-stop party shop? I think not. So he's shooting the shit with his coworker, maybe his boss, I can't tell. But Big Titty Girl walks in, so Kevin Hart wants to pretend to be the boss. Yeah, probably not gonna keep calling her Big Titty Girl until I find another personality trait to assign to her. But for now, she's Big Titty Girl, and Kevin Hart wants to get some of it. He almost had some smooth moves there, because she needed some help with her flip phone to get some numbers programmed into there, and I'm guessing she did not get an instruction booklet with her flip phone. I'm trying to remember how my flip phone was. Was it that hard to program numbers in? I might never have actually programmed numbers in it now that I think about it. I think I just dialed the phone numbers because I didn't care. I mean, back then I still wanted to be able to actually remember people's phone numbers. Nowadays I don't give a shit, and it's just all pre-programmed and just dial away. But so his move was to tell her, oh, it has to be done over the phone, so write down your phone number so I can call you. And it came oh so close to working, but it didn't. And no, it wasn't really that close, and she walks out. So I'm glad I didn't assign anything to her, because I'm guessing she's gone from the film. So she'll just remain Big Titty Girl, even if she comes back later in the film. And then Kevin Hart gets his paycheck, and he's very upset about it, because he's put in all sorts of overtime, but it's pretty much up to nothing because of all the taxes taken out, which I feel him. That is like, just, you work overtime, and you get paid the overtime pay, but you feel like there was no point to it, because Uncle Sam just fucking rapes you in the ass and takes all of that overtime pay to line up his pockets. And yeah, you might get it back tax season time, get your refund, but I need that money now. He needs that money now. He's got a kid to support, and he's got bills that are past due, and they turn off the electricity on him. So he decides he's going to get back into the B&E game, and he calls his friend up, because they're going to do some breaking and entering to get that money. But, it's okay, because he's doing it for his kid. He has to take care of his kid, and doing things the legit way is not working out for him. This is America. And now we get a flashback to the first time that they try some breaking and entering. And they do it in broad daylight, which, I mean, I would have always assumed you'd want to do things at night so they don't see you, especially since you have to actually, like, physically break open stuff. If you had, like, a key that you could just open the door, I could see, like, okay, yeah, do it during the daytime while everyone's off at work. So I guess even if you're breaking something, just hope that everyone else on the block is also at work and no one can see you. So this breaking and entering is going fine, except when they open one of the drawers with all these jewelry in it, there are a bunch of rats. Like, just these huge fucking vermin. And Kevin Hart's all scared, as well he should be, because fucking rats, I don't know if they're pet rats or just feral rats. The wild rats, those are the ones you have to watch out for. If it's pet rats, like, they're generally, like, well taken care of and good animals. But rats out in the wild, no way. And his friend, the we'll call him B and E. That's about as far as I know him from. Is just that he likes to break and enter. He thinks, fuck it, it's just rats. I'm gonna steal the jewelry. And he goes to grab it, and he gets bit by the rats, and that is just too much, and they hightail it out of there. And so now Token White Friend also becomes part of the gang to do all this breaking and entering, and they're about to break into this one mansion. I guess a mansion, a rich person's house. I always consider anything that looks like a rich person house where they probably spend more money than I do, mansion. And they're about to just shoulder tackle the door when it opens, and the old lady there thinks they're the pool boys and lets them in while she goes to work. Easy score for them, just grabbing everything. Then they go into another house, sneak in through the window, and fucking lesbian threesome going on. Just wow. Just kind of like under the wire, this film passes the Velvet Owl test. We get titties 13 minutes in. So I guess it's not that much under the wire. But titties within the first 15 minutes. It happens. And not just that, it's a lesbian threesome. What was the plot going on here? I don't know. Just lesbian threesome. And then they're all hanging out at the barber shop, shooting the shit. One guy who has a gun, they tell him, put the gun away because you're getting your hair cut. Which I think is a good rule of thumb. Like, you shouldn't have your gun while you're getting a haircut and the thing accidentally goes off and shoots your barber before you can finish your haircut. Now you're just going to look like an idiot. So, very good rule. And then they see Big Titty Girl walk by. So, maybe she does have a large role to play in this film. They focus on her big ass. So far her personality is she's got big titties and a big ass. And so, of course, everyone wants to fuck her. But hopefully they get to know her better. But Kevin Hart, he starts bragging about how he fucked her. No one believes him, of course. And then we get a big-ass motherfucker. And he's mean and he's the bully of the neighborhood. And he just starts beating the shit out of people because he thinks that they're fucking around with his girl. I don't know if Big Titty Girl is his girl or if it's just another girl. But big-ass motherfucker just beats the shit out of pretty much anyone who crosses his path. At least 2 or 3 guys he just beats down until Kevin Hart helps calm him down. I gotta say, I don't think I'm the right audience for this film. And I don't say that because I'm not black, but because, I don't know, this comedy is just, it's too subdued. It's too low-key. And I don't know if I like a low-key Kevin Hart. Like, if you had Chris Tucker, you want him just completely manic, full of energy and going insane. And so I want the same from Kevin Hart. And it's now making me wonder, has there been a film that has both Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart, or is that just like too much hyped up energy for one film to contain? That is an interesting question. Once I get to Hollywood and they let me make a movie, I am casting both Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart and just letting them loose. I'm not even going to give them a script. Just be like, here you go, motherfuckers. Just go off. And big-ass motherfucker is back in town, and he's heard about how Kevin Hart is getting back into the B&E game, and he wants to cut in the action, but he doesn't trust that Token White Friend is part of the gang. He doesn't want any of that, but Kevin Hart's going to convince him that, Token White Friend, he's cool. So we've got a fat cop and a skinny cop, and the fat cop's white. I don't know why I feel the need to bring that up to you, in case you want to picture it, because I'm sure you're not assuming everyone's white. Because if you assume everyone's white, then you're kind of racist. It's white privilege, and that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is there's a fat white cop, and then there's a skinny, Not really even skinny. He seems like in shape. So it'll be Fat Cop and In Shape Cop, and they're partners, and they're on the lookout for some criminals. Not specifically Kevin Hart and his gang, but I'm sure they'll run into Kevin Hart and his gang, who are currently Kevin Hart and Big Ass Motherfucker are about to break into a place. And so while Kevin Hart and Big Ass Motherfucker are going through this house trying to find stuff to steal, Kevin Hart looks out the window and there's a white lady in the driveway looking at him. She's a total Karen. Seriously. Calls the cops just because she sees a couple of black guys in a rich person's house. Granted, yes, they broke in and are stealing, but I am willing to bet even if they hadn't broken in and weren't stealing, she would have called the cops anyways. And so the cops come by, they start a car chase. They are heroes. Are they really heroes since they're robbing the place? Kevin Hart and Big Ass Motherfucker, they drive away, crash the car. Kevin Hart manages to get away. Big Ass Motherfucker's like, fuck this, I ain't running because I am one big ass motherfucker. And he starts kicking the shit out of some cops because he doesn't give a fuck. Because he knows he's going back to jail. And if you're going back to jail, might as well take some sucker punches while you're at it. But he's not a snitch, so Kevin Hart gets to remain out of jail. For now. And now one of Kevin Hart's other partners, B&E guy, has somehow also found himself in jail. I think jaywalking or some trumped up shit charges. So Kevin Hart needs a new crew. So he goes to B&E guy's older brother, Will. We'll call him Will because that's his name. And one of the few times in the recording of this series that I actually paid attention to someone's name. So Will doesn't really want to bring Kevin Hart onto his crew, but unfortunately, he's a person short on his crew for this next job, so he's going to bring Kevin Hart along. So Will and his partner have taken Kevin Hart to do some robberies, showing him the ropes. Will's partner isn't too happy about that. He's worried. Kevin Hart's mostly being the guard eye, watchdog, watch eye. Why can't I think of what they're called? The lookout guy, yeah. He's mostly a lookout guy while Will and his partner go and rob all the fancy shit and go try to pawn it off, but, it's hard to fence jewelry, especially if people know it's stolen. So, he's not getting what he thinks he deserves, so they go to another house, and Will has this whole thing where he can snip the wires to the alarm system, which somehow doesn't set the alarm system off, which I will tell you right now is complete bullshit. I worked for an alarm company, and there's all sorts of fail-safes in it that if you were to snip wires, it's just going to set off the alarm and just send all sorts of shit going on. But in this new house that they're going, the wire to the alarm has already been snipped. And the door's already unlocked. Which, of course, complete fucking warning signs, right? That someone has gotten to this house first. Kevin Hart, God bless him, does not see the warning signs, and he's ready to just go straight in. And who is he going to run into? I don't know. Will and his partner, they're trepidatious about going in, because they can see the warning signs. But Kevin Hart's going in anyhow. And Will's wearing Rocawear, which is some good product placement. That's why Jay-Z is the man. He knows. He's making this movie. You're going to get some Rocawear shit in there. So people be like, yo, that's some fly clothing. God, you can tell that I am not a hip young black man. And I'm going off of language that I've learned from the Kid and Play movies. But so the other guys that have already been inside the house turn out to be friends of Will. So they're just gonna team up and just try to rob as much as they can and just split the profits. And so Fat Cop and Skinny Cop, they're going over the string of robberies that have been happening lately and trying to formulate a plan. See, some of the robberies are done very well. There's no evidence, nothing. And then there's some that are just sloppy, which I'm guessing are Kevin Hart and his crew, because there's just fingerprints all over the place. And they're trying to formulate their plan on how they're going to. The cops are formulating their plan on how they're going to take down these criminals, especially since they have big ass motherfucker in jail. Maybe they can try to get him to squeal. Meanwhile, Kevin Hart and his new crew fucking rob Jay-Z. They rob Jay fucking Z. And after he's already like put the money up for this movie, they're gonna go and rob him? What kind of shit is that? And how do you rob Jay-Z? Like, it's fucking Jay-Z. They didn't even break and enter or anything. They just waltz right into the house. Kevin Hart even just peeks in at Jay-Z's bedroom studio, and Jay-Z's just there listening to some tracks that he's laying down. Some good shit, because, you know, it's fucking Jay-Z. Like, you know, Jay-Z can probably just fart on a can and come up with some genius shit on that. So, but Jay-Z's too busy, like, listening to his music and trying to get the flow and decide what needs to be tweaked to notice that, you know, Kevin Hart just waltzed right in, stared at him for a little bit, and then they just walked off with just, according to Kevin Hart, like $50,000 worth of merchandise and stuff from Jay-Z's house. And he doesn't feel bad about it because, you know, within the 10 minutes it took them to rob all that stuff, Jay-Z will make that money back, which is true. So I'm not going to advocate here for robbing Jay-Z. I'm just saying I do think that is a valid point, that in the amount of time it takes you to rob Jay-Z, he's already going to earn all that money back anyhow. But again, I am not advocating to rob Jay-Z. Because I'm guessing, unlike in this fictional movie, he probably does have bodyguards that are going to beat you up. Like, he probably has fucking big ass motherfucker as his bodyguard, and he's ready to kick your ass if you try to rob him. Or maybe Jay-Z is just like, fuck it, I'm Jay fucking Z, I'm gonna make all this money back. Go ahead, just waltz right in and take whatever you want. Just don't take my tracks. But this is pre-Beyonce, Jay-Z, so I'm guessing now that he is with Beyonce, he probably guards his shit a lot more, because you know that these people, they break in, they're not just gonna rob Jay-Z's like stereo equipment. They're taking Beyonce's undies as well, which is probably worth more. They're going into that dirty laundry hamper, sealing up her panties and selling them on eBay for God knows how much money to the Japanese. Because that is where the true money is. Not in Jay-Z's stereo equipment, but in Beyonce's used panties. More titties as the crew meets up at a strip club to dole out the shares. And Kevin Hart's upset because his cut isn't as large as everyone else's. But, I mean, I understand the point of view of Will, because Kevin Hart's pretty much entry-level position in this crew. So, yeah, he's got to earn his way up to making the big bucks. And then at home, Kevin Hart and his girl get into a fight, and apparently he has a girl. I mean, I assumed he had the baby mama because he has that kid. But I just figured she was out of the picture, especially since he was trying to pick up the big titty girl earlier and, you know, making all the claims to his buddies about how he banged the big titty girl. But he's got his baby mama at home, and they're about to go to dinner. But she's mad because she found out that he's making money from robbing people. And I'm not sure where exactly she thought he was getting money from, considering we haven't seen him actually go to a job since like the beginning of the film. And he's doing all this breaking and entry robbery during the daytime. So he's obviously not going to his job during the daytime. But maybe he told her that, yeah, he's going to his job. And Now I'm losing respect for Kevin Hart. I mean, it's bad enough that he's doing shit like robbing from Jay-Z, but he's lying to his baby mama. That's just not good. I'm just I don't know. I feel heartbroken. Kevin Hart, you are breaking my heart. So they're out at the club along with Will and token white friend, Kevin Hart and his baby mama. Kevin Hart goes up to the bar to get some drinks, some Labatt Blues, because they're fancy, getting some imported beer. I don't know where you are listening to this from. I'm from Buffalo, New York, which is like 10 minutes away from the Canadian border. So to us, stuff like Labatt Blue is basically domestic beer. It's technically imported, but we pay domestic prices because it has to travel like 100 miles to get here. So I've always thought of it as a domestic beer. I've never thought of it like as a fancy foreign beer. But then one time I went down to DC and it was there on the menu under imported beers, as in like a big fucking expensive beer. And it's like, wait, what? It's fucking Labatt Blue. Not fancy. I mean, yeah, fancier than Budweiser, but my piss is fancier than Budweiser. So, anyhow, Kevin Hart's at the bar when Big Titty Girl walks in and she goes up to the bar and he's trying to impress her. And keep in mind that over at the table, his baby mama is there. So, again, Kevin Hart, I'm losing respect for you bit by bit by bit. You're just gonna try to hook up with Big Titty Girl in full view of your baby mama. And I just want to add, this is some of the fakest looking money I've ever seen in a film. It's nearly white. I mean, Jay-Z, come on. You have like $5,000 in your couch cushions. You could spare some. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't want to trust Kevin Hart with actual money. Understandable. I'll buy that. But come on, you could have given some of your spare change so that they have actual looking money. Then again, Jay-Z is so fucking rich. Maybe this is rich people money. Us plebeians, we're the ones that have to deal with green cash. But when you're at Jay-Z level, that's just fucking white cash. It's like the cash equivalent of diamonds. It's like a platinum black credit card. You have to be super rich to be able to get one. And you have to be super fucking rich to be able to get white dollar bills. So when they're getting like the fake money for this movie, Jay-Z, he doesn't know what the fuck green cash is. He hasn't seen it in like forever since he was still trying to play that hustle. He's been rich so long, he just assumes all money is white. And that's why the money in this film is white. And then big ass motherfucker shows up, because he's out of jail now, and he also is wearing some Rockaware. Great product placement. I mean, Jay-Z's been just kind of like, people are wearing Rockaware, and not just that. Then you hear him rap earlier, which might have been like his new single at the time. Jay-Z is a smart businessman. And so big ass motherfucker is back, and he's got a new woman, and he's also got 3 necklaces to represent each new child he has from a different baby mama, none of whom are his current woman. But he sees one of these baby mamas at the bar, and it makes him just mad because she's with another guy. And I'll just say, of course, throughout this film, everyone's being referred to as the N-word. And part of me is almost kind of slipping up into saying it just from hearing it so much that I'm trying to quote the movie. And it's like, yeah, should not use that word. Which is why whenever, you get like Hulk Hogan or whatever being caught using the N-word and people try to defend it like, oh, sometimes it just slips out and you're not thinking. It's like, yeah, sometimes it gets right there to the edge, But you can be like, whoa, 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 hold up. I am not using the N word. It's not my word. I'm not allowed. And I'm not going to make some big fuss of like, oh, they get to use it. It's their word. They want to use it. Fuck you. It's their right. You're not black. You're not allowed to use it. End of story. Why are you so obsessed with wanting to use the N word? I don't want to use the N word, so I don't. Where was I? I got off on these fucked up tangents, don't I? Anyhow, he's mad at his baby mama, which has led me to wonder, where's Kevin Hart's kid been? That was like a big thing. That was the whole reason he is getting into criminal activity, is so that he has the money to take care of his kid, and we've kind of just haven't heard anything about it. I mean, it would have been nice to see, like, okay, he's got this fat cash now. He's gonna buy this cool toy for his kid. He's gonna get his kid a Furby or a Beanie Baby or Tickle Me Elmo, whatever the big toy at the time was, which I think the kid is too old to have any of those anyhow. And who's watching the kid now if him and his baby mama? Maybe it's not his baby mama. I am getting so confused. Maybe this is still a flashback from something. I don't know. All I know is the big-ass motherfucker has just kicked the shit out of this guy who's trying to hook up with one of his baby mamas. And his current girl, she's all down with it. She understands. And she's not mad at big-ass motherfucker. She's mad at the other people at the table who just are looking down upon big-ass motherfucker. And I mean Will and his partner, because they think that's just low rent. Like, they're dealing with the low-end N-words, not high-end N-words like they are. See, people, if you feel the need that you have to use it, N-word. You can literally say N-word in the heat of passion. It's still wrong, and I'm only using it because I am quoting this movie. But if you are in the heat of passion, it is possible to actually to say N-word instead of the actual N-word. Just saying. And now, big-ass motherfucker's baby mama is out on the street meeting up with some guy, not the guy at the bar, but the guy who was trying to, I think, get with her earlier in the film. That big-ass motherfucker just beat the shit out of, because he still looks beat up, and he says that, it was due to big-ass motherfucker who beat the shit out of him. But he's mad, and so he starts beating on big-ass motherfucker's baby mama. And here's, I think, going to be my first real complaint of, well, not the film, but of Jay-Z's participation in making this film. In that the woman beater is wearing Rockaware. Now, Jay-Z, come on, you should have seen, like, early footage and go, yeah, even though in real life there are going to be wife beaters wearing Rockaware, you can't stop that. You don't want that association in the minds of the audience. The Rockaware by big ass motherfucker, yeah, like have him wear that shirt while he's beating the shit out of this wife beater or this woman beater, and then that in the mind of the audience is like associates Rockaware with people who stand up for women's rights and will kick the shit out of a woman beater as nature intended. So Kevin Hart's girl makes him promise her that he's going to give up this life, and he does so. And it's pretty fairly obvious that he's only making this promise because he's looking to get some ass right now. I mean, he more or less says it, but she's willing to give him the benefit of doubt. It doesn't last very long. Not the sex, I mean the promise. Although, by Kevin Hart's admission, the sex was not going to last very long either. But there's a knock on the door, and it's big-ass motherfucker, and he needs Kevin Hart's help because he got the call from his baby mama and how she had gotten beat up, so he needs to go out for revenge. Kevin Hart's girl is not happy that he's gonna take off with Big Ass Motherfucker. But I think that's mostly because he did not take the time to explain to her that, you know, Big Ass Motherfucker's girl, her baby mama, got her ass beat, and they need to go avenge her. Although I don't think he knows that himself either. If Big Ass Motherfucker just came out and said, "Look, Kevin Hart's girl, my baby mama got whooped, and now I gotta go and get the N word who did that shit, and I gotta fuck him up," I think she would have understood, and she would have been okay and said, "Okay, Kevin Hart, you can go on this one last mission, and then you come back to me and you leave all these other N-words alone." I mean, I think that's how the dialogue should have gone. So Big Ass Motherfucker and Kevin Hart track down the bitch ass woman beater, and I'm not really sure what Kevin Hart's job here is because he stays in the car the whole time, but Big Ass Motherfucker just beats the shit out of woman beater. And you know how in action movies you get to like that climax scene where the hero finally gets to the villain and just beats the shit out of him, and you just cheer and go, "Yeah, fuck yeah." You cheer like, you know, Captain America punches Thanos or some sort of thing like that, and you just cheer like, "Yeah." Well, that's how I feel right now. I am saying to badass Big Ass Motherfucker, badass Big Ass Motherfucker, just beat the shit out of that guy, because he beats women, so he deserves to get the shit beat out of him. Kevin Hart is all worried and scared, which I guess maybe, you know, in real life, you probably would be scared if you see, like, your friend just beating the shit out of someone and getting worried because, you know, all sorts of trouble you're going to get into. But you know what? That bitch ass N-word. Look at me. I am speaking the language of this film. But that bitch ass N-word deserved to get the shit beat out of him, and I am glad. I love you, big ass motherfucker. You are the true hero of this film. You know what? I'm gonna rewind and I'm gonna watch it again, because women beaters, getting the shit beat out of them, that is one of the fuckest greatest things you can see in this country. My personal opinion. Some more titties as Kevin Hart and Big Ass Motherfucker are at the strip club. And Kevin Hart is just kind of questioning his whole friendship here, because he can't handle having to deal with, you know, all these fighting, and surely Big Ass Motherfucker will probably find his way back in jail. But Big Ass Motherfucker tells him, you know, he needs to live this life, because Big Ass Motherfucker, he's got a lot of bitches, he's got a lot of baby mamas, and he's got a lot of kids. So he needs to do one last big score in order to be able to provide for all of them. Which again brings me back to what happened to Kevin Hart's kid. He got into this whole thing just because he needed to provide for his son. And he hasn't shown any concern about his son at all whatsoever since then. You know, Kevin Hart, this is why I don't like you anymore. You're not the real hero of this film. You started off with good intentions, and then you forgot your kid. Whereas Big Ass Motherfucker, he's concerned. He's only doing this for his kids, and his baby mama got beat, so he got revenge and beat the shit out of the woman beater. What have you done, Kevin Hart? You haven't beaten up any women beaters. Now, Kevin Hart's at his next score with token white friend and B&E guy, who I guess is out of jail now. Kevin Hart's not doing very hard work at trying to stay out of this life, because I would have assumed, you know, Big Ass Motherfucker was going to force him into doing another score, but he's doing it without Big Ass Motherfucker. And so, while they're in there in the house, they realize it's the house of rap legend Gallon, which I guess they just went with a fictional rapper because they can't deal with, you know, having another rapper who's not Jay-Z. Or maybe there really is a Gallon. I'm not well into the rap game to know all the rappers. So maybe there is a rapper on Rockefeller Records named Gallon, which would really only make sense that if Jay-Z's behind this movie, you know, do a little cross promotion and throw another one of his rappers into the film. But Token White Friend, he doesn't want to rob this place now that he knows that it's Gallon's place. You know, these people had no problem with robbing Jay-Z. But Gallon, whoa, 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 that's a step too far. But the police have come, so they gotta hightail it out of there. Kevin Hart meets up with his parole officer, and she is pissed. Pissed. Pissed at him. Because he failed the piss test. Because he just can't stop smoking that weed. And he tries to explain to her, hey, I got a kid. And when you got a kid trying to raise a kid, sometimes you just end up smoking weed. Which is an interesting argument. She doesn't buy it. But, again, Kevin Hart is just losing my respect more in this film. He hasn't mentioned his kid once in forever, even when talking with his baby mama. Who I'm assuming is baby mama. Maybe it's someone else she was, but he has not mentioned his kid. Not even when big ass motherfucker mentioned his kids did Kevin Hart bring up his son. But oh, now you need an excuse for why you were smoking pot. So suddenly, my son this and my son that. Well, fuck you, Kevin Hart. And then Kevin Hart goes to his job at the pager shop. Remember, he has a real job that apparently he doesn't go to anymore. And it's finally caught up with him. And the boss fires him. Kevin Hart gets pissed off. His former co-worker wants to get in on all the breaking and entering. But Kevin Hart's like, nah, y'all, nah. That was a very bad impersonation there. But he tells him, you don't want none of this. And it causes a further rift between the two. Although Kevin Hart hasn't seen this guy in who knows how long, so how good of friends can they be? But Kevin Hart decides, he is gonna do the job with his coworker, and he brings token white friend along for this score. And so they drive up to the house, and coworker is very upset because he thought he was gonna get to actually be part of the robbing, but he's just the lookout guy. And meanwhile, he's been drinking like 40 ounce after 40 ounce. And honestly, I don't know how I feel on certain things in this movie, because I feel like it kind of feels like it's a white person who wrote like the most stereotypical scenes of what he thinks inner city black life is like. But not being part of the inner city black life, this could very well just be completely accurate. So I don't know. But, how does he not know that he's just the lookout guy? Like, did they not discuss this plan beforehand? Kevin Hart is just really sloppy. I'm surprised he's gotten away as much as he can, because it doesn't seem like they've done any pre-planning. I mean, Jay-Z and Gallon's house, he was surprised that those were their houses. Like, do you not scope this shit out beforehand? Find every detail about, okay, whose house is this? When are they going to be gone? How do you get in here? No, it just seems like they choose houses at random and just go and steal shit. Co-worker turns out to be the worst lookout man in the history of lookout men, because after 2 minutes he gets too nervous, decides that they're all going to get arrested, and just takes off. Luckily, he does come back to pick up Kevin Hart and token white friend, but as they're driving away, they get pulled over by the cops, probably for driving while black. That's why, I mean, if you're gonna do this, probably let token white friend drive. Because, they see the white guy driving, they're like, yeah, he's just a wannabe thug hanging out with the black guys to try to make himself look tough, but he's white. You got the black guy driving through the rich white neighborhood. Oh, we gotta pull him over. And so they get pulled over. Kevin Hart and token white friend just book it out of there, while co-worker, I assume, is gonna get arrested. The police officer is holding a gun at him. Because that's how it is. Maybe get shot. I don't know. This is like early 2000s, but back then it still was a problem with police officers shooting unarmed black men just because. So, I don't know. I don't know if co-worker's going to be arrested or if he's going to be shot dead. And finally, we see Kevin Hart's kid again. This is like the second time in the movie. And he's eating cereal, and, Kevin Hart's trying to be a good dad all of a sudden. But baby mama ain't having none of that. And I'm not sure if she threatened to kick Kevin Hart out or if she's just going to take Shorty with him. I don't know. Shorty, because I've heard Shorty be used to a kid, but also to a hot chick that just happens to be short. So I'm not sure if I should. Anyways, I think she's threatening to take their son and leave or to kick Kevin Hart out because she's still upset about, him leaving with big ass motherfucker. Because Kevin Hart, you should at least tell her that it was to kick the shit out of a woman beater. She might not like it, but she would understand a little, and she might give you some leeway. But no, she just thinks you're off going. I don't even know what she thinks he's doing, but it's not good. And then at the parole officer, Kevin Hart's parole officer is mad at him because, he keeps failing the piss test, and she found out that he quit his job that, he wasn't really going to anyhow, and technically got fired, but, he had to give that whole speech of, like, you can't fire me, I quit. Which you should know, like, you can't do because then you can't collect unemployment. Come on. You don't quit. You force them to fire you if you really hate the job. That's the way it goes. Well, I mean, I think back then you probably couldn't get unemployment if you got fired as well. But now you can. So, at least in New York State. Not that I'm, like, advocating that if you are sick of your job, just be so piss poor at it that you get fired. Just saying it's an option. But, so the parole officer is just really mad at him, but there's another guy in the office who tells him to just get out of there because, nothing but trouble is going to come about. And this other guy is wearing a Rockaware shirt, which I think just about everyone in this film except Kevin Hart is wearing Rockaware. Good product placement, Jay-Z. Good product placement. Kevin Hart decides, that he needs some money so he could just get the hell out of here. So he goes to see Will, who's wearing Rockaware, and they're at a chop shop or something, or a mechanic shop, and the mechanic that they're talking to, he's also wearing Rockaware, and it's just fucking hilarious to me at this point, just how, like, over the top they've gotten with this Rockaware placement. I mean, seriously, not a single person in this neighborhood wears Icewear. Ice-T tried to do a clothing line. Okay, maybe it actually is probably completely possible that everyone in this neighborhood is wearing Rockaware, because that's just, like, the cool thing to wear. So, it could be realistic. So this mechanic, he's showing off his new car that's been all tricked out with all sorts of secret compartments to hide your stolen goods. And there's buttons that allow for a smoke screen and oil slicks, just complete, like, Spy Hunter shit, which was a fucking awesome game. Did they make a movie version of Spy Hunter? I feel like they announced they were going to, but I don't know if they ever actually did. But yeah, Spy Hunter was an awesome game. So he's showing this off, and Kevin Hart's like, wow, this guy's like MacGyver. Which, no, he's not like MacGyver. He's fucking M from the James Bond films. MacGyver didn't create all sorts of fancy gadgets. He just improvised with the shit he had at hand. So the mechanic sets up for them what's going to be the big score. And honestly, I feel like every attempted burglary in this film has been like an attempt at the big score. But since we're getting to the end of the film, I think this is the real big score. And they set him up with his partner. See, the mechanic's baby's mama's brother is going to help them out to get the score. And that fella is Michael fucking Rappaport in a Rockaware t-shirt. Because of course he is. Now, normally I think maybe this is part of all the product placement, but I think Michael Rappaport just showed up on set wearing a Rockaware shirt saying, Fuck it. This is the way I dress. Because he's Michael fucking Rappaport, okay? He doesn't need any motivation. He just is. And so they're going for their score, but they can't decide on who's going to be the lookout man. So they decide that there's not going to be a lookout man. Which really, if you want this score to work, one of you has to set your ego aside and say, okay, I'll sit in the car, the getaway car, let you know if anyone's coming, get you the fuck out of there. And wouldn't you know it, the one time that they're making the score without a lookout guy, the 5-0 rolls up. Now, the police aren't wearing Rockaware, which I think is just a missed opportunity. Though I guess they don't want to, have people watching this film and think, oh, Rockaware supports the police. Fuck Rockaware, because fuck the police. But the police come in, and quicker than you can say police brutality, they just start shooting. And Kevin Hart and Will manage to escape, but Michael Rappaport gets captured, thereby dashing all hope I had of Michael Rappaport redeeming this film. Poor Michael Rappaport. But I'm sure once they take him in, he's gonna just be like, dude, I'm Michael fucking Rappaport. And he's gonna get all charges dropped. Kevin Hart and Will, then get chased by some other police officers while they're in that fancy car. Kevin Hart tries using, the smoke machine and the oil slick. Doesn't work quite as well as it does in like the Spy Hunter games. But they do manage to evade the police by hiding in a shipping yard. But it's a short-lived escape from the police, because now it's nighttime, and Kevin Hart is still running, and he's trying to get into his baby mama's house, but he's locked out, and the police are still chasing after him, even with a fucking police helicopter. Now, is this, necessary of a police helicopter chase? Is Kevin Hart, that much of a wanted fugitive at this point? I mean, have they just decided to tie him into all the other robberies that have been going on? Did Michael Rappaport give them inside information? Is he trying to pin it all on Kevin Hart? And Kevin Hart tries to hide in a doghouse. No lie. He actually just gets himself inside a doghouse because, Kevin Hart is fucking tiny as hell. But it does no good because the police do see him in there and they take him in. And so the police are trying to get him to sign something. I don't know if it's like a written confession or whatever, but Kevin Hart refuses to, and he tells them, rightfully so, that he doesn't want to sign anything until he sees a lawyer, because that is your fucking right. You are supposed to be allowed to see a lawyer before you say anything to the motherfucking cops. That's the way it is. This is fucking America. But apparently that's just white America, not black America. And this film is exposing that because he keeps refusing to sign. So one of the cops, the black one, of course, because, I don't know, I guess they're trying to show him as an Uncle Tom or something. I'm surprised Kevin Hart doesn't actually call him an Uncle Tom. But so the black cop, quicker than you can say police brutality, just fucking cold cocks him and tells him, we want you to know that we have you. And so he takes the plea bargain of admitting guilty, and the judge orders a 12-year sentence, minimum of 6, which then his lawyer walks out. Which I have to say, again, the problem with the court system. Had Kevin Hart been able to afford a good attorney and not just been given some piece of shit public defender, they could have fucking beaten the rap on the fact that one of the cops fucking cold cocked him in the face and forced him to sign something without a lawyer present. It's complete bullshit. And of course, it's a black judge, because this film is trying to... I don't know what this film's trying to make. I guess they don't want to be too stereotypical and have it all like white cops and white judges keeping down the black man. They're showing that black people are just as much a victim on the side of law because the whole system is corrupt. Your Honor, this court is out of order. Few good men. You can't handle the truth. Attica. I don't know. A lot of court movies with those scenes where people yell, But, if this were real life, Kevin Hart would have beaten the rap. Your lawyer sucks. Get Jay-Z's lawyer. And so part of Kevin Hart's sentence is he has to, do the whole Scared Straight program and tell kids who are also wearing Rocawear the dangers of the criminal life. And he manages to get out of jail in 2.5 years, and he leaves us all with the warning of, don't be an idiot and don't break and enter into people's houses. And by the way, in the credits, apparently the judge, that was Yo-Yo from You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo fame. I'm glad she's still around, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she's still there, on the rap level, the underground rap level. She just hasn't been able to break through to the mainstream again since You Can't Play With My Yo-Yo. But that makes me happy. So that was the film, and somehow Jay-Z gets second billing despite being in the film for 30 seconds. And Michael Rappaport gets 30 seconds. Actually, no, closer to 90 seconds. Which is just a waste. You get Michael fucking Rappaport. I'm beginning to think maybe he wasn't even originally cast in the film. He was just walking by while they were filming. And they said, yo, it's Michael fucking Rappaport. And he just happened to be wearing a Rocawear shirt. And they said, hey, do you want to spare 90 seconds to do this film? And he's like, well, of course, because I'm Michael fucking Rappaport. Well, maybe he said no at first, and they're like, it's for a Jay-Z film. And then he was like, oh, if it's for Hova. Is that how you pronounce it? Hova? If it's for Jay-Z, I'm down for it. But yeah, Jay-Z has second billing in this film, which I guess when you're financing the film, you get to get second billing for a cameo and have everyone in the film wear your clothing line. It's good to be the boss. I don't think that's a Jay-Z line. I think some other rapper said that. But it's got me wondering, because this was based on a true film. So was it that actually Jay-Z caught the guy trying to break into his house and then heard the story and was like, yo, that would make a good film, and hired all the filmmakers to make this film? I think the behind the scenes would probably be more interesting than this film itself. I wanted a spin-off film just based around Jay-Z. A film about Jay-Z's life. Let's learn more about this guy that Kevin Hart tried to rob. And of course, a spin-off film for Big Ass Motherfucker. So, those are the two films I want. Hollywood, you can even just combine them into one film. The Adventures of Jay-Z and Big Ass Motherfucker. So this was Paper Soldiers. For another week of Velvet Owl watches movies so you don't have to. Hit me up at velvetowl@hotmail.com, or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know if there's a film you'd like me to try. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve, as long as it's not be more funny. I'm trying to be as funny as I can.